I'm John with Sharpened Artist. Today I'm demonstrating this colored pencil portrait on sanded paper. One of the first things I want to do after I have my line drawing down is I want to look at those lips and other trouble areas that I'm anticipating might present some issues in color matching, and I want to isolate the colors so that I know which colors I want to try to identify and match up. And I want to look for local colors as well as some of the colors that aren't as noticeable at first glance, and I want to see if I can capture some of those. So I'm starting on the lips this time with this portrait. I don't always do that. Typically I start with the eyes. Now I am using UART sanded paper, and I'm mostly using luminance pencils on this particular portrait. I'm also using Lyras. I used polychromos. I just can't hardly get away from using polychromos on portraits. But I'm starting on the lips and on the mouth in this area. The corners of the mouth are always going to be darker. That's an area that's more recessed, and so typically that's going to be one of the darkest areas of the mouth. With sanded paper, I found it rather easy to go ahead and lay in all these skin tones very early on, much easier than I find in a lot of the smoother papers or many that have a very delicate tooth. So step number one, when I'm looking at a portrait and I'm beginning a portrait after my line drawing, I'm looking for proportional issues. Even though I've got a line drawing down, that doesn't mean I'm out of the woods with regard to the structure, the proportions, where in position the mouth is to the nose to the eyes, and I'm constantly rechecking proportions to make sure that those are accurate. Now, what I found with this sanded paper was it was very easy to redraw areas that maybe I didn't like the way that they were turning out. Maybe I'm getting an area a little bit too dark. It was very simple to go over it with a lighter color, and it would cover up areas. And so I found the sanded paper. This is the 800 grit of UART sanded paper. I found it very forgiving. I really enjoyed using this surface. Which leads me to step number two. One of the first things that I want to do with a portrait is I want to focus on the shadow areas first. So I used a very dark pencil to tackle those shadows right away. All along, I knew that one of the largest coverage areas of this particular portrait, and with most portraits, is the skin tone. And so I just would go back and forth between the shadows and getting some of those lighter skin tones where I wanted them. So I am focusing on the eyes now. Most of the time with portraits, when I start focusing on the eyes, then I want to use the brightest colors possible to begin with, and then I'll darken that color down later on as I work towards a more accurate color match on the eyes. But at the beginning, I want to make them very highly saturated and look for some of the strongest or the brightest colors possible. This leads me to step number three. Once I get these proportional issues worked out and these features in place the way that I want them, leading up to this third step that I think is very important when doing portraits or any work in colored pencil is I want to achieve balance. And so I want to make sure that I'm having even layers of pencil. When I'm putting down the pencil, I want to make sure, especially with regard to color and coverage on the entire portrait, I want to make sure that I'm putting down even layers of pencil and that I'm covering the entire area. If I used a pencil way up on the forehead or up near the cheek, then I want to use that same color of pencil down in the neck and the chin area. So I'm achieving balance when I do that, and that's something that you don't hear a lot of colored pencil artists talk about all that much, but I think it's a critical thing to keep in mind. We're not going to be completing the entire portrait in this video. We will be in the next one, and it's real exciting to get into those small little details, those finishing touches. Now I've got one more thing that I want to leave you with regarding colored pencil and sanded paper. But before that, I want to tell you about a guide that I created for you. If you're ready to get started in colored pencil, just head over to coloredpencil.link/guide. Download this free 2-page guide, a checklist on how to get started today in colored pencil. The last thing that I want to tell you is I first learned about using sanded paper with colored pencil maybe 2 to 3 years ago, and I want to tell you that I was scared to get started with it. I was afraid of what I didn't know, and I was scared that it would just chew up my pencils. I didn't know how to erase on it. I didn't know what to do, and it was like it felt like kind of like a new medium to me, and so a fear just kind of held me back, and I never really did it. I never sat down and started testing and putting the pencil on the sanded paper. But once I did, I fell in love with it. And I want you to know that there's nothing to be afraid of. You can get over that fear just by doing it. Just getting the pencils on the sanded paper, start using it, getting a feel for the medium, and it does not chew up the pencils like I had originally thought that it would. It makes it to where you can actually finish a piece a lot faster than what you probably have been used to. Alright, so there you have it. That's video 1. We'll have video 2 up really soon. So if you have any comments or questions, please reach out at any time. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do that. And we'll see you in the next video. Stay sharp.